welcome to my channel. My name is Ellen and this is Little Houseplant Life. So in today's video we are going to be repotting my beautiful Cingonium. It's variegated Syngonium or Cingonium albo, whatever you want to call it, and I absolutely love it. It's been one of my fastest growing plants that I've ever had. I've already taken some cuttings from it. I think I've probably had it, I don't really know how long I've had it actually, but I've had it for quite some time now, maybe like eight months to a year. I don't even think I've had it a year, maybe like 8 months, 6 months, and I've already got loads of sort of cuttings from it. So previously I cut it about here, so all of this top bit here is completely new. There were 2 more leaves on here as well, one here and one in here. However, they were completely white, just like this guy here. I don't know how well you can see that one, but yeah, they were completely white, just like this one, and unfortunately they just completely died off, which does tend to happen with white leaves quite often. And yeah, so unfortunately that's just one of those things. So my plan is that basically I want to cut it back probably below another leaf in hopes that I can get rid of some of that white variegation. Don't get me wrong, I love the variegation and I don't want to completely lose it, because I mean these newer leaves that are growing through with the green on them as well are absolutely stunning. Sorry, it's really floppy, that's why it needs repotting as well. And this one here, even this one here is absolutely beautiful. But yeah, so they just need, I just prefer them like that so that they actually last and survive. So those beautiful leaves that I've just shown you will be getting cut off, along with, I think probably this one here. Oh, I think probably with this one here as well, and possibly this one, but I can't decide what to do. I'm just trying to look at the variegation on the stem. And I think, yeah, I'll probably go down to below that one, I reckon. But I also just want to show you the difference in leaf size. So but I might do that once I've cut them actually, because it might be a bit easier. But yeah, they're growing absolutely beautifully. It's actually in my window up in my bedroom, and I just can't believe how well it's doing. So I think I'm probably going to end up putting it back up there because it's just gorgeous. So for today we are going to be using Soil Ninja Cingonium potting soil. Now I'm hoping that there's going to be plenty here, because it's going to be really frustrating if I don't quite have enough, but hopefully I do. I appreciate this is quite a large pot, but it just seems to really love having the room to grow in there. So I'm going to stick with that one. And basically what my plan is I've got another cutting, which I will show you in a minute, that I want to repot into here as well. But yeah, so this beautiful Cingonium mix is from Soil Ninja. So it's absolutely beautiful looking. I mean, I love Soil Ninja. I think they take really good care with their soil. And I really enjoy using their like individual mixes. I actually turned over to them a few months ago when I decided to start looking into more, you know, personalised mixes for individual plants. And I don't really have the time to be able to do that myself and buy all the individual soils and mix it and do all of that. So by going through Soil Ninja, it really does help me. Once again, this video is by no means sponsored by them or anything. I just really enjoy their soil mixes, and just thought I would share with you what I use basically. There's a lot of cocoa coir in this, so that makes up 40% of their content. The bark is 20%, and then the other 3, the worm castings, fine pumice, grit and activated charcoal, make up 10% each. So that's the mix for you. So this Cingonium mix is designed to hold enough moisture during the growing season to keep leaves from crisping. A gritty twist allows the soil to dry a little faster for the winter, and a healthier portion of bark to remind the roots of their tree climbing heritage. So that's fantastic. So it basically tries to mimic their natural environment of growth. So Cingoniums can be found growing in lots of different places, and they can actually absorb quite a lot of moisture. So it's very important to make sure that those soils, that the roots and the soil sort of does dry out in between. So that's why it's really great to have like a well-drained soil and everything. So if we just take that off, let me just grab. So I did actually do a clip in my last video where I actually purchased the soil from Soil Ninja. So if you want to go back and have a look at that, please do. I will link that in the card up above. So this is the beauty that I'm going to be repotting. Now I'm a little bit sad that the corner of this leaf has started getting a little bit brown. However, that started like, I reckon a month ago, and for some reason it's kind of just stopped. So I'm hoping it was just maybe where I let it get a tad bit dry, because when they're in these smaller pots, it can be really hard to remember to water it as much as possible, because obviously I don't water it. I need to water this one because it's in a smaller pot more than I do my bigger one. So my plan is to get this guy potted in here as well. It's got 2 beautiful new leaves come through on it, which is fantastic. Obviously they're coming through smaller. That is purely just because they are new leaves through and it's a cutting. They're starting a new growth point, so they're going to be smaller. Just the same as these bottom ones down here are smaller, and they get a lot bigger when they get up to this stage here. Right, so I just have this plant pot here that I think I'm going to use because I couldn't really find much else. I've also just got, now I got this with like a little terrarium kit thing a little while ago, and I just thought it'd be really great to like help me loosen up the soil and stuff, and hopefully not damage any of the roots. If you just tease from like the outside and then sort of almost go in from the out and then pull up, in theory, it shouldn't damage any roots too badly. Be quite good to see how the roots are actually doing in this. Be quite interesting. Now what I am actually going to do is just undo these ties. So I will obviously be keeping this pole in here because it's going to be getting cut off. I don't necessarily need to take it out. Obviously I'm going to take it out because I'm going to clear the soil out, but yeah, so it should be quite good actually. So because I don't want to actually like damage any of these roots, I'm just going to, like I said, just loosen up this soil nicely. Now I'm pretty sure the roots are pretty mental in here actually. There's a lot of them. They're pretty hefty, and I don't think I really thought about how much this is rooted in. Basically I want to change out the soil in this anyway because it's not really the best soil for it, although it's been growing fine. You know, it's been in this pretty much since I got it, and it's not the right soil for the mixture. It's just one that I'd like, my generic one that I chucked together. So right, I'm actually just going to bring you in closer a minute so that you can see what I'm doing properly. Right, hopefully you can actually see this a little bit better now. So you see these roots, you see what I mean? So that's basically stuck in there. I obviously don't want to pull at it at all because I don't want to cause any breakages. The roots aren't coming out at the bottom though, so that's a good sign. I'm just going to push my finger up through that hole because it might just help loosen up some of the soil. Oh wow, yeah, so this was pretty much ready for a repot anyway, to be honest. Just take a look at that. So what you have here is basically a massive ring of roots, which means they've just been ringing around the bottom of the, just pull that out. I have obviously got my like potting mat underneath here, so hopefully that will stop me from getting too much soil everywhere, but those roots are absolutely crazy. Sorry, I'm trying to keep it in view, I can't. But yeah, that's really cool. So we are gonna just pop that to one side without damaging the leaves. Empty all that out into there. Now, normally if I was gonna be using this for a different plant, I would like clean this pot out, but it's the same plant going back in, it's just different soil. So I'm not gonna worry too much about that. I mean, I just want to show you this quick. Look at those like big chunky bark pieces. More in here as well. It's really great. And this really nice like fine pumice as well. I'm actually just wondering whether to like trim some of these roots down or whether I just go for it and just put them all back in. Like that is a lot of roots. Trouble is with trimming roots is that it's not great when you're like repotting and stuff because it doesn't really like it very much. So I'm just going to make sure that there's like a little circle in the middle here of no roots, so that when I put the pole back in, it doesn't get damaged and go and hit the roots. So I'm just going to keep that there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill that middle bit there with soil. Move that big chunky bark piece out of the way. And then, so I don't forget where I've just moved the roots out of the way, I'm just going to put that pole back in now. So I've just done that now because then basically it just gives me, if I put that at the bottom there, a bit of room to then just pour some soil in around it. I know I've got to add my other one in yet, but I'm taking the guess that the roots on that aren't going to be very big. So I just want to get this in here, get it a bit more secure. And then obviously once that's been watered as well, that will obviously make it a lot more secure, so that's great. Right, so then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make room at the back here. Actually, I think I'm just going to do it off to the side because I don't want to have it all like, oh, maybe the other side. That's a lot of roots there. Is that roots? No, I think that's just come out of the mixture. That's fine. That's a root there, but that's an aerial root, so that obviously doesn't need to be buried, so that's fine. That can just sort of climb up the pole. So I'm not too worried about that. Now, that pole's quite good. It's not overly secure, but like I said, once the soil's in a bit more. So there's quite a nice gap over here, which I think I'm just gonna move that huge piece of bark. And look at potting this guy in here. So it is much easier in a plastic pot than it is a terracotta because you can just sort of squeeze around the edges, so that does help. So that is him. Like I did before, just sprinkle off some of those soil. Once again, some really good healthy roots there. Very happy with that. Yeah, looking good. So I'm just going to pop that guy in there a second. Right then, so I'm just going to get this attached to the pole. Maybe what we'll do actually is remember where I was going to cut and take that cutting first. What have we got? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the one of the old ones. That's the first new one on here. So I think I want to go back one step more, don't I? So I think what I'm going to do is go back to here. So I'm just going to take that cut. So this here is going to be turned into cuttings. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because that white leaf won't survive. So that will probably just stay attached to. So that'll be like a top cutting. So that top one will just stay. But I'm hoping that when you cut up the individual ones, then really once that grows out, you shouldn't get any more whites come through. It should sort of deteriorate. So fingers crossed that happens. But yeah, beautiful. But I will monitor sort of at least the start of the growth and everything before we get too far into that. So I'll cut that up further in a second. Right, so I'm just gonna cut up one of these ties and just pop one on this last leaf here, just because I don't want it to really hang out too much. It's just nice for it to be attached and have something to sort of like stabilize it, especially where it's just been repotted. So I'm just gonna do that one. And then we're pretty much there. What I'll probably do is I'll just move this guy out the way and we'll just cut up those cuttings together. So I'll just show you like the best place to cut and things like that. But yeah, there we are. So that's him sort of repotted and it looks like it's going to sort of twist around there. That's fine. They can intertwine a little bit. It makes it a little bit more fun. So when that goes back in towards the light, hopefully these will sort of grow around a little bit more. And yeah, So there we are. So that is the repotted Cingonium there. It's nice, new, beautiful soil. I'm actually just very quickly going to pop a touch more soil into that front section there. And then basically when I water this, what will happen is that soil will just drop down a touch. And it will just find its way through. So any air gaps or anything like that, the water will just sort of fill that with soil. And then, yeah, I'll just sort of refill it with any soil if I need to. So down the stem, the great thing about Cingonium is they really do grow a lot of aerial roots. So it's a really good indicator of where you can cut. Now, there are a couple of extra aerial roots on here where you wouldn't normally see them. And that is because that's where I've lost those leaves before, as I told you about. So those I will probably cut out actually as like little wet sticks and just lay them in maybe some damp moss or something like that and see if I can get them to root, because you never know. But other than that, basically where a leaf joins, you've got these beautiful like root, oh, sorry, it's quite big. You've got these beautiful like root type things that are growing out. Basically, you just want to be cutting in between here. So as long as it's got some little aerial roots on it, it's going to root really well. So we're going to take one cut here, one cut here. I'm going to do one cut up here, and that section in the middle there will go into some moss to try and get that to root. Then another one here. Same again as before, I'm going to cut above it there to try and get onto root. And then last of all, I would take a cutting there, and then those two at the top will be together. Okay, so let's just go ahead and take those cuttings. So that there will just be the little sort of, I think they call it like a wet stick kind of thing. Just go again there. So you don't want to leave too much at the bottom because you don't want it to rot. But I like to leave just a little bit more than normal so that if it does rot, you can just trim it away. So it just sort of helps a little bit there. So another like wet stick type thing there. And then we're just going to take one more cutting in the center of that one. Just be really careful when you get to these closer ones, they tend to sit quite tight in. So you just got to be careful not to damage the other leaf. Even if it means cutting it on a little bit of an angle. But yeah, so that basically leaves us with our beautiful Cingonium cuttings. I'm actually really excited to try the semi-hydro thing. So I'll probably be doing a video on that next week. So do sort of tune in if you want to check out that and see what it's like. But yeah, so let me just show you these beautiful leaves. So this is the top cutting. So you can see how that one there is like a completely white leaf. However, this is the first one that's grown through with a tiny little green bit down the bottom there. Can you see it? You can probably see it better from the underneath. So it's just there. But yeah, really, really beautiful. And this one here, which is the final one. Now this one does have two slight like slits in it here and here. However, that is just from where my cactus fell over and just slit it, so it's not anything detrimental. And then we've got those two little cuttings of the stem as well. Right then, well, thank you for watching my video. I hope that this gave you a little bit of an insight into the variegated Cingonium. Showing you obviously the Soil Ninja soil mix there, which I'm hoping is going to do really well, so I will keep you updated on that. Really excited to look at that. Also just briefly showing you, you know, how to take cuttings and things like that, talking to you a little bit about the growth process. So yeah, Cingoniums, this in particular Cingonium, the variegated one, is the fastest growing plant that I own, and I just love it. It's great. So yeah, please do, like I said before, get in touch if you would like to purchase any cuttings today. I'm more than happy to post them within the UK. However, I don't really post outside the UK, especially this time of year. If the weather gets too cold, then there may be a delay to the postage. However, obviously we can discuss that. So do head over to my Instagram account at Little Houseplant Life and we can chat about it there if you are interested. Otherwise, please do check out my video next week where I'll be talking about the semi-hydro, and I'll be putting these into the semi-hydro and yeah, giving that a go and seeing how we get on. So yeah, I will see you next week. Bye.